fishing or hunting.
Right.
I mean, really, at the end of the day, I'll go fishing with anybody.
Yeah, Pelosi
That's
had a 61 Spencer. I'd probably get on there, maybe. Yeah, you're right.
no, I gotta draw a line
Maybe
somewhere.
maybe only one of us would come back.
No comment. No comment. All right, let's get this party started.
Let's do it.
And we are back. Here I am, Fly Navarro, with the No BS World Tour, coming at you live right here, all over social media, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. I got my good friend, I like to call him Lucas from Kansas, but some people know him as the mullet tossing world champion.
Forgot all about that.
Oh, you did not think I was going to go through this entire podcast and not mention your world record toss of mullet in the parking lot of the what was it back then? Was it the Golden Nugget or
Golden
was it
Nugget? Yeah, Biloxi.
I think it was definitely Biloxi, but I forget what it was called at the time. If it was
I think it was the Golden Nugget. Yeah, it was a construction site kind of back then.
It's still kind of a construction site. We just found the only open parking area with no asphalt. And for people that are joining us late, this was we were getting ready to fish the Biloxi tournament. We were all eating lunch at, was it Rosie's Chicken and Poultry,
Sure
which
was.
I still, every time I go, it's my favorite place to go eat lunch. And somebody mentioned, hey, the next week is the mullet toss contest at the Floribama, and somebody decided it'd be a good idea to buy a couple cases of beer and a box of frozen mullet.
Yeah, Shannon Pecco.
And we thought it out. We went out to this empty lot, and I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it was Pugsley. It was Jamie Esfeller that was the official person at the end of the runway to measure this mullet toss. and everybody was throwing it a solid 40 yards, 35 yards. I forget what you did, and I was the official videographer, and you got this mullet, you threw it like a football, and they were sitting at the 50-yard line or so, and it went sailing over their heads into the parking garage. Somebody's car got hit by a mullet, and you looked straight into my camera and you said, ladies and gentlemen, that right there is the new Mississippi State record. And you walked off stage. You were gone.
Yeah, you sent me that video. I had it on my phone forever. In the video, it looks so much further than it really was, but it was a toss.
Dude, I don't listen. I really, and I'm going to bring it up right now. You didn't get by any chance a college scholarship off that, did you?
No. I think that was probably my last long throw ever. I couldn't throw underhanded right now, I don't think. But that was that's just kind of some stuff that we do there in the downtime.
Honestly, I think that was my first time in Biloxi. So I really didn't know what to expect. And since then, I've gone every year except for last year. I didn't go last year only because they were having no parties. And
why would you?
Yeah, that's the whole part. I couldn't go fishing, so I had to go for a party. So let's just really quick. Right now, you're up in Montana at your cousin's house.
I am.
But that is not what home is for you.
No, Kansas is my home, Southeast Kansas.
So could you let everybody know a little bit about what you do in Kansas?
I run a outfitting business. We do whitetail deer and turkey hunts in the spring, and we've done that for past 2002 was really kind of when I started playing with it, and probably by 2005 we kicked it off and kind of had a plan to kind of curve off of fishing and start down this other way. So 15 plus years.
What made you, and listen, I get asked quite often, do I miss fishing? Which I still fish quite a bit. I just don't work on boats anymore. And I get asked a lot, do you miss working on boats? So I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you miss working on boats?
No, I don't. I miss fishing. I miss the mullet tosses in the parking garage area. That kind of stuff. I miss that stuff. But the actual fishing I do. But chamois off a boat, uh, making a 3-day open ocean crossing, all that kind of stuff. That was fun. Don't get me wrong, and it was part of the job. But now, like you said, if I want to go fishing, I can go fishing and go have some fun and not worry about the 10 million things behind the scenes that are going on, so everybody has a good time. So I'm like you. I don't miss working on boats. I do miss the fishing and hanging out with the guys for sure. But
That is by far hanging out with everybody, which I still get a chance to do. I don't miss changing oil, scrubbing teak. I don't miss any of that. Uh, I I miss them, and I still have them on occasions. Them really, really good days of fishing, whether it's 9 blue marlin bites in a day or 40 sailfish bites in a day, which I still had. I had a couple back in February. I was down in Guatemala. I enjoy spending time with people that do not get a chance to do it for a living. So when they get a chance, an opportunity to, for them, what would be their best day of fishing of whatever it is, 15 fish or 10 fish or whatever it is, and I get to see it through their eyes, that's something that I really enjoy.
yeah, my idea of that, I'm kind of the same thing, but I have a 10-year-old daughter, and crappie fishing in the John boat for me is the same thing. That's my big day offshore now. I enjoy that a lot. But I also, when you go back and, last time I was at Los Sueños, you see everybody there, and you see the new age of mates coming up and all that kind of stuff. And they're maybe their first year in Los Sueños or something, and they're learning, they're excited, and you can see how excited they are. I enjoy that vibe, that kind of stuff, the newness, and oh my gosh, we're here. We could get 60 bites today. That's fun.
Yeah, that's it's good to see it in somebody else's eyes. I know over since I launched my business back in, was it 2015, the opportunity to help people catch their first blue marlin or first sailfish or get an opportunity just to take somebody to a new spot. It's something that I truly enjoy. With that being said, is that something in your with your hunting and outfitting service, is that something that you guys come across a lot of first time hunters, or are these a lot of repeat and people that know what they're doing?
Now it's mostly a lot of repeat guys. I'd say my cousin asked me today. I think it's probably 80, 85% repeat customers, and they'll bring the grandson or they'll bring the son or something like that. And uh, so we do have some first time stuff, and that for me is awesome because everybody wants to talk about, oh gosh, the deer's got to be this big and this old and all that kind of stuff, and that's great. And we do have pretty strict management on it, but you get a 15-year-old kid that's never killed a deer with his bow, and he shoots one, and he's jumping up and down excited. His dad's excited. I'm excited too. I think that's a great part of, that's a good trip. That speaks well of my place. And, you know, for the most part, the people that come there, what they want to do is come shoot a big deer. But the people that come with their kids and stuff, or we did some stuff with Wounded Warriors several years in a row, and that was another thing that was really, really cool. That kind of blew my mind. I was expecting, when they got there, it was going to be a bunch of John Wayne guys getting out of trucks and fly shit. They were kids, you know, and they get out at 21, 22 years old and, missing parts of their body, and they're climbing up a tree. And that, for me, that was very rewarding. We did that for a lot of years.
I'm to be honest with you, I'm getting goosebumps right now when you say that, because I hate to say it, because you never look at yourself as an old guy, and by no means are we old, but this morning I was talking with my contact in Japan, and last time I was out there, we took out a boatload of Marines, and by the end of the day, they asked me if I had ever been in the Corps, and because I don't know how much time you've spent around Marines. Marines are not much different than fishermen. They bust each other's chops pretty damn good. And I fell right in there. Except, and this is the biggest thing, there was a couple guys, hey, captain, hey, lieutenant, and you look around, and these are 31-year-old kids, they're 35-year-old kids, and um, man, and I get it. Listen, you've worked your way up the ranks, but you're still a kid.
Yeah, and that blew me away when I saw that, because not what I had pictured in my mind. I thought, well, they have to be older than me. I mean, but they're
That's what
just
that's
not.
what you think. Growing up, and we're the same age. You look on the news, and it's like, oh, General Norman Schwarzkopf or Colin Powell. They're
Right.
they're older guys. So when you expect to see some decorated veteran show up, you're expecting him to be older than you, and suddenly you pass them.
Yeah, it looked to me like we passed them a long time ago. But that that stuff, when you get those guys like that spend a lot of time in the military. My brother was a Marine. My dad was a foreman for the Marines, um, and busting the chops. That's second nature for those guys. Even those warrior guys, they're all they're making fun of, oh, so and so doesn't have a leg, and they're hiding this prosthetic from him and stuff like that. They're maniacal.
And it's funny because my girlfriend asks all the time, and people that don't know. Listen, if there's anybody out there that wants to correct me, they're welcome to. But it's, to me, especially in the fishing world, it's kind of the way we bond. If you're not picking on somebody, it's because I don't like you.
That's right. You're not in the circle.
If I'm not talking to you, I don't like you. Because if I like you, I'm gonna ride you like a mule.
Yeah.
It's what I do.
Yeah.
It's what I do. Hey, can you lift that microphone a little bit closer just so you come in a little louder? There you go. Yeah, just get it in close. Yeah, no, much better, much better. I just at my age, I need things louder. I can't hear as well.
I'm sorry, Vlad.
You don't have to whisper. Don't get closer and whisper, man. But yeah, that's my biggest thing when I went out there, and it was great because I got a chance. Instead of sharing phone numbers, we all shared our social media, and these guys, as they've continued to either fish out of Okinawa or go to Hawaii or go to different places, they've reached out to me and they're like, Fly, I got stationed in this new place. Do you know somebody I can go fishing with? And depending where they're at, I usually have some kind of a contact. So it's nice to see a lot of these cats that are going through the service, and you can help them get out and enjoy their outdoor activities. Which is, listen, this is what we do. We've been very fortunate to build a career out of our outdoor hobbies, and it's tough. I don't want to say it's tough. It's one of those things for me. I look at it, and I sometimes I feel like I never work a day in my life because I love every day I wake up. I love what I do.
It's so true. I think about how good we got it. Our old jobs, we used to fish on $1 million sport fishing boats and all the hot spots in the world. I mean, people save up their whole lives to go do that for a week. Now that's what we did for years and years and years, and then we've split off. And well, like you were the smart one of the group, while we were all blowing our money at the XO at St. Thomas and raising hell. Were you buying rental properties?
I had a whole fleet of houses, man.
Yeah. Well, you kind of branch off and just say, oh, man, this is a good job over here. I'm going to start trying this. And I think for me, being gone on those long trips, you can wait 10, 12, 11 months out of the year by yourself and with your guys away from your family. It gave me a lot of confidence to try other things and do different things. Well, you know what? I could start my own business doing this. Why can't I do that? And that's panned out really well for me and you too.
Yeah, you got to take a chance. You're never going to catch a fish tied up to the dock.
For sure.
And that's ever since, at least for me, as far as business, I've treated it like fishing. Hey, this lure's working. How about putting a second one out there? And oh wow, that works. And the thing is, with business, it's not just, okay, I'm only running 4 lines or 6 lines. You could just keep putting more out there and see, okay, that works. Okay, this doesn't work. Okay, it's it's not the content that's working, it's the time. Or okay, the time doesn't matter, it is the content. Or and then there's new avenues. I mean, even something as simple as this is a podcast. Think about back in the day, radio shows, to you'd have to buy airtime to get uh on any kind of radio to talk. And really, I was able to start this. I didn't need sponsors. I don't care if I get a sponsor or not. My whole thing is I just want to talk with my friends.
Yeah.
And I want to talk to my friends so people understand the industry, the outdoor industry, because there's too many people that are either stuck inside or they want to go outside and they want to know the intricacies of it, because of our lifestyle. We know what it's like to jump on a plane and go somewhere to do something, but a lot of people don't know the first step of it. Hey, I want to shoot a deer, I don't know what to do. Or I
Hmm.
want to go catch a sailfish, I don't know what to do. And it's really not that hard, but where do you start? And I just want to make it easier for people.
Well, you know how it is that if you're going to go do something, like if I was going to go to South Florida and I was going to, whatever, I'm going to go sail fishing. Why? Who do I go with down there? You
Exactly.
can, that's what you do. You call somebody that knows, you call somebody that you trust and you say, all right, well, who do I go with? Hey, I got a guy. Let me make a call. Okay, here's his number. Call him. That's how this whole thing works. If you want to take a shortcut and end up at the good places, you can go to Acme Fishing Company and they're throwing cut bait on a treble hook for sailfish, and that's not you're not going to catch anything like that. You're going the way that everybody should probably try to follow is call somebody that knows about it.
Exactly. Call somebody that has an idea. And that's what I try to do. I just try to open up the Rolodex and say, here, make
Yeah.
myself available for people that want to. And I get a lot. I probably get a half a dozen people a week. Hey, I want to do this. Okay. So how do you continue? At least for me, the way I look at it is, how do I continue putting content out there for people to be able to find me and or the people that I know, guys like you that are doing hunting trips or doing fishing trips, or and it doesn't always have to be a deer hunting or blue marlin trip. It could be somebody that wants to go trout fishing or
Mhm.
goose hunting, or it seems like it's a huge overlap, and we all have the connections.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about all the places we got to travel for all those years, all the contacts that you made. I mean, how would you ever get through the Panama Canal without Pete Stevens? Without all the. Remember when James Roberts was the guy when everybody was going to those swingers? You had to have James on the road to get you back
James
to
was
it.
the guy to have.
Yeah, and so all those contacts, like you said, the Rolodex. Somebody calls me or calls you, probably get figured out pretty quick. You know, for most
It's
things.
usually it's after somebody calls me, it's usually one phone call. It's one phone call after that. It's like, okay, yeah, I have a guy. I have a guy. So let's talk about exactly what made you decide to what was the switch that made you say, let me get this piece of land.
You were there. We were all in St. Thomas. I was fishing on the Blue Bayou with Captain Scott, Sonny, and Debbie. And Sonny had two guys come down, and we were fishing. Sitting on the back of the boat, watching the baits. And one of the guys says, "Hey, man, you're from Kansas, right?" I said, "Yeah." "And y'all got some big deer up there." I said, "Yeah, yeah, we do." He says, "You got any land?" I said, "Yeah, we got a little bit of family land." I said, "How much you got?" I said, "Oh, man, well, probably 200 acres of family land." And he said, "Could you lease some?" I said, "Yeah, probably." He said, "Man, I got some guys that pay you good money if you could lease some land, and they're bow hunters. So I could send you two guys. So they probably pay $4,000 a piece." I said, "Okay." So I went home and I leased up, a family ground, which was 200 acres ish. And I leased up two different 500-acre plots. And two guys from Colorado showed up. This is, St. Thomas season for us ended around September. We take the boat back to Florida, and then I was off till 1st of January. So I was you're just sitting there going deer hunting anyway, and drinking and wasting all my money. So they show up, they go hunting for 10 days. And back then, I really didn't know anything about bow hunting. I mean, and these two guys were really good. They still hunt with me today. They left. I had $8,000 in my hand in cash, plus a really nice tip over 10 days. And I was like, huh, I'm making money here. This is fairly easy. And they told me, hey, if you get some more land, we'll bring some more guys. So the next year, I leased up another 1,000 acres. They brought, I think there was 5 of them in total, $20,000 in 10 days. Huh. That's like winning a tournament. I could win a tournament every week if I play this right. And so I just, started weaning down. It was 90% fishing, 10%, hunting. And then that switched over. And then the real catalyst for me to really back off was I got married, and normally Carla was really used to me traveling all the time. She'd fly in, fly out, do all that kind of stuff. And that was just our lifestyle. And then we got married, and that was cool for a while. Then we had my daughter Bailey, and I had no idea how hard it was to leave and be gone for 3 or 4 months at a time with her at home. And then she got old enough, 3 years old, crying. I'd have to book the earliest flight I could, so I'd leave when she's sleeping, so I wasn't bawling all the way to the airport. Daddy, don't go. So that was it for me. I said, you know what? We're gonna throw our hat over the fence, and we're gonna go all in on the hunting stuff. And I'll fish a few tournaments here and there. And so that's just kind of what it's morphed into. And so I guess the answer to your question is, it's just, for me, it was, and I'm home. It's the best time of year to be in Kansas. If you ask me, the fall, it's hoodie sweatshirt weather, it's football, it's deer hunting, it's changing leaves, it's frost. I love all that stuff, and I'm going to get paid to do that. And so the guys that I had, the core guys that I had, they really showed me a lot about bow hunting, because I was a rifle hunter. I didn't really understand about bow hunting or any of that stuff, tree stands or nothing. When they got there, they said, hey, can you get some tree stands for us? I said, yeah. Can you get them set up? I said, yeah. Well, I thought set up meant put together out of the box, So I had all these tree stands in my barn. I was so proud of it. And they were like, you haven't put them in the woods? I was like, no. So like, come on. So we spent the first 2 days of their hunt, we're setting up stands, and I'm learning as we go. I was like, oh, I never thought about that. So they were really cool, and I've learned a lot from them. And you know how it is, every year you learn more and more and more. You kind of build on that, put different things in your repertoire. But yeah, I was pretty ignorant to deer hunting with a bow and arrow when I started, for sure.
It's a whole different game with a bow and arrow compared to a gun. And it's funny, I was just talking to a friend of mine this morning. He's retired from the NFL, and we've got him lined up. We're all going up to Wisconsin to go deer hunting up there end of October. And he's never shot a bow and arrow. He's only shot guns. We shot turkeys a couple weeks ago in Wisconsin. And he's like, I don't know, I will just wait till gun season. I'm like, dude, when you get a bow and arrow, you will never, ever, ever want to shoot a gun again.
It's so true.
I have no desire. I mean, if I go somewhere that, it's long shots or elk hunting or something like that, but once you learn how to shoot a bow and arrow, and you get to see all them animals that close, it's a different game.
It is. All the stuff that has to fall into place, the winds, you getting close enough, I'm on the right spot, A, B, C, D, and then you still got to pull the shot off on top of that. And, it's a true sickness. Why it really is. I probably haven't shot a deer with a rifle since 2004, and it's not that it's not fun. I'm hooked on the bow, and I think that happens to a lot of people. You shoot one with a bow, it's over.
Exactly. Once you shoot it with the bow, it's like, whoa. When I ran that boat out in Hawaii, gentleman I worked for, he had a 90,000 acre ranch in Texas. And I'd go bow hunting every morning. I had one little ground blind I'd go sit in, and all the ranchers or all the cowboys, man, you didn't shoot nothing? I'm like, man, look at this picture. Look at that picture. Like, why didn't you kill it? That's not the one I wanted. I got some of the greatest pictures, selfies of me with like a 7, an 8, and a 10 point behind me, 4 yards away on a ground blind. And it just, that's not the one I was looking for. I'd seen him on a trail cam, and you just get eaten up with it. You get eaten
Oh,
up with it. You want to see it. You like watching what the animals do. You start learning. It's like, okay, this is what's happening. This is, and you get totally eaten up with it.
yeah, that's so true. I remember the first deer that I ever shot with a bow, sitting in a tree, and here he comes. That's the deer I wanted to shoot. Man, I went to pull back on that thing. I was shaking. What's wrong with me? Yeah, dude. And I shot this thing 1,000 times, and man, I rattled the arrow. I've had a whisker biscuit. You know how hard it is to rattle an arrow out of a whisker biscuit. I did it, and that thing went to tink, 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 tink down. Deer still hung around. I ended up shooting him. Wasn't a great shot, but I mean, literally, it probably took me 10 minutes to get a hold of myself to lower my bow, and I was
Calm
like,
down.
wow, I get it now. I get it. This is it. And
Uh,
that's the greatest stuff in the world.
there's a video, and I can't remember. It's a youth thing. It's a youth hunter, and I want to say it was a little boy, but it could have been a little girl. Shot their first deer, and as they're talking, they're stuttering the whole time because they had buck fever. They shot it, but they were so excited. It was like chatter, and it still happens.
Oh
it,
yeah,
it's it still happen. I remember, I it wasn't my first deer I killed, because I hadn't killed one at the time, but I was up in Pennsylvania, and this was the old days, where there was way before texting. It was the old little radios that you'd talk, and somebody said, "Hey, there's an 8-pointer coming your way, and it's coming from behind you. Be ready." And I'm like, I only have one shot at this thing, only if he walks through this little hole. And I get my little rangefinder, and it's like, okay, that's a 20-yard shot. That's perfect. I can do a 20-yard shot. All I have to do is put my 20-yard pin on him, and he's going to die. 20-yard pin. That's all I need. 20-yard pin, 20-yard pin. If he makes that turn, he makes one turn. He's like, oh, he's coming this way. Just remember, 20-yard pin. All you need is 20-yard pin. And here he comes. So I start pulling that bow back. I was able to get it back, and I'm like, 20-yard pin. Just put the 20-yard pin right on him. So just as he starts walking in there, I put my 30-yard pin right on him, and it sailed right over his back.
yeah,
I could not focus on what I needed to do because I was so amped up about it.
yeah. That's happened to me a couple different times. Same stuff. Yeah, wrong pin
Wrong
or
pin, you get excited. It
yeah,
happens.
touch the trigger too soon. I've done that before. Sent one into space. It probably still hasn't landed yet. But man, hey, before we get too much further into this, you have to tell me about the Tokyo Fish Market.
Okay,
I've been
I will.
meaning to ask you about this for years, and it's on my bucket list. Tell me
So,
about it, please.
and I'm glad you brought it back up, because I almost forgot about it. And the last time, I believe the last time I saw you was right before I went to Tokyo, the
Yep.
first time. Um, and now I actually, I've been there another time since, and I was supposed to go, last month. I was supposed to go to the Yokohama Boat Show. I've been very fortunate during COVID because of the contacts I made on the first trip. I've blossomed them into some other great connections, and we've actually been, setting up a lot of, company, connections to ship over U.S. tackle. They love U.S. tackle over there. And they have great tackle, they have great lures, but especially in the offshore world, uh, Moldcraft, Annie Moy's lures, Black Barts, that kind of stuff they don't have. Bass Pro Shops, they didn't have. Grundens, a lot of these products that I have relationships with, whether it's the company itself or the owners. So we've set it all up. But that first trip, I'll never, ever forget it. I was going to fish the JIBT, which is the Japanese International Billfish Tournament. And the only reason it came up is I kept seeing all these followers I was getting from Japan on my social media. And back then it was, for me, it was just Facebook at the time. and it's since grown. And I'm like, there's blue marlin over there. So I did a lot of research. I did a year's worth of research, and I'm like, if I'm gonna go, I need to go check out this fish market. So I land in Japan. I know where the fish market is, but this is the beginning of my business, and there's no sense in hiding, no shame. I had no money. Uh, and when I say I had no money, I have money socked away, but it's not like my bank account was very robust, and I was waiting for some money to clear, a check to clear, so I can get all my places to stay. So I literally landed in Tokyo, and I didn't know where I was staying.
That's happened to you too,
Oh yeah,
huh?
yeah. I had no clue where I was staying because I was like, well, there's this place, there's this place. I can't afford to book it yet. So literally while I was in air, it was a 16-hour flight. While I was in air, the money cleared. And I booked a hotel room a block and a half away from the old Skiji fish market. Now, the old Skiji, I say the old Skiji fish market because they've since moved it. I don't even know if it's still called Skiji. It was 70 acres. It was a huge fish market. This thing,
Wow.
this thing is massive. So um, I land, and this is, and for those of you that are listening, one of the biggest things that why I wanted to go to Japan the first time, through our careers, as we were fishing in all the places we went, uh, English is my second language. So I never felt lost going to Costa Rica, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. I speak the language. I wanted to go somewhere where I was completely lost. I want to know what my friends felt like going to Costa Rica. I want to go somewhere where I'm lost. I don't know. And Japan was the very first time I ever went to somewhere that I was by myself, completely by myself. And I walked to the fish market. Now the fish market opened up every day at 3:30 a.m. I could
You were there
never
like at midnight.
No, I could never get in there that early. Uh, Listen, it's tough.
Really?
It really is tough. Now they'll do some tours at I forget what it starts, like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. But no, I can't be that guy.
No,
I
definitely.
I'm not that guy. And back then I didn't travel with a bunch of cameras. I just can't carried my iPhone. So 6:30 a.m. This place is hopping. I mean, it's almost like Vegas hopping.
Wow.
That's because everybody's selling fish this early in the morning. And I just walk in and you start going through, and man, the stuff you see, and it's so we think of a fish market, we think of snapper, grouper, uh, maybe a couple jacks or whatever. We're talking about everything, everything. Eels, turtles, and freshwater turtles, not green sea turtles or nothing. Soft shell turtles. There was tons of soft shell turtles, eels, uh, yellowfin tuna, bluefin tuna, you name it. And uh, you have a little section. You buy, you rent out a little section that's probably no bigger than this bar behind me, which is, I don't know, 10 by 10, and everything's wet, and people buy their fish or they sell their fish and they clean it out. Fish comes in. One of the things that was very surprising to me, if anybody has seen Finding Nemo, where they all get into a little bag, they had the little goldfish. Nemo was in the little plastic bag. Live fish is a very big deal over there, not just there, but in China. When I went to China and Hong Kong, live groupers, live snappers. And I don't ask me why. Is it the freshness? Is it you don't need ice? That I don't know. Buying live shrimp to eat, it's everywhere. And you go into the auction house, the Skiji Fish Market, where everything gets auctioned, and this is going on all day long. People are buying and selling fish. I say all day long, probably till about 10 a.m., 11 a.m. And then just outside the market, you have all these restaurants that have purchased everything there, and now they're selling it to the general public or cooking it to the general public. And every morning for breakfast at about whatever 10 o'clock, I'd go to this one specific restaurant that would buy bluefin tuna, and I would have chopped fatty tuna on rice with green tea. And I'm not sure what part of the bluefin it was. It could have been right across the rib cage for all I know. I don't know. But if you've ever had good fatty tuna, it almost feels like bacon. When you touch it, it feels like bacon. So when you're eating it, you can taste that heavy oil rich fish. And it doesn't taste fishy. If you've ever had sushi, but it melts in your mouth because of that oily texture, that high fat content. And I was able to walk into the bluefin auction one time, and because they kept all the doors closed and locked, I was able to get in. I probably shouldn't have been in there because I didn't last very long before they asked me to get out. I did not take any pictures, um, and I'm a firm believer. I rather ask for forgiveness than permission, and I did. I asked for forgiveness. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I got into the room, and by that time, I think I had already done 1 or 2 seasons giant tuna fishing, so I had an idea uh, what the process was on the front end, the catching, the fish going to the fish house in its respective area, getting boxed up and getting ready to get shipped over. And now here I am on the other end watching it. And uh, some fish are sold whole, some fish are somebody buys it and then they partition it out. So they'll buy a plug, and the plug is, for those of you that aren't aware of it, it's a fish without a tail and without a head. That's a plug. And somebody will sit there and they'll cut a loin, top shoulder loin, and somebody can say, okay, I want a third of it or I want half of it, and they'll buy it. Somebody might not be able to deal with a 600-pound plug, but they can deal with 100 pounds of it. And I'd walk up and down these little roads, and people got the bluefin tuna heads on ice just so you can see how fresh the tuna is from that day. I've got some great videos of these guys using these. I don't know what to call it other than like a samurai sword to
I've seen
cut.
those. Yeah.
And here was the great part. I found a place that makes those knives.
Oh my God.
And I've got to have the cards somewhere where here's a guy pounding out the steel, making these blades to cut the tuna. And for people that, again, that aren't familiar with good knives and filleting fish, the last thing you want to do is rack it back and forth like a saw. A good knife is one clean pull. And when you're dealing with a fish that could be 400 pounds, one clean pull on a 12-inch blade is not easy. So they'll come out with a 48-inch blade.
Yeah. Watching some of those.
And one clean pull is not hard on a 48-inch blade. And I saw these guys, and what they did with steel to make these knives was unbelievable. These guys would, I mean, the art, the passion that they were putting into a knife. The only thing I could describe it to is kind of how we take care of tackle.
Yeah.
You get out of your tackle what you put into it. And that's what these guys were doing with this knife, and as they were building them. And it was amazing. They were very nice. I kind of explained to them, and I used Google Translate to let them know who I was and what I was doing. And I just wanted to document it. And I still look through all the pictures, and you go into the beef stores and you look for Wagyu beef, and that in itself is a whole nother, you look at it and you're like, that's all fat. It's more white than red, but when you eat it, it's totally, totally different. It's totally different. It's like, again, it's like eating a very flavorful piece of butter. It was great, and I ate like a champ. I mean, it's funny. I come home and I love to cook. It's one of those things I enjoy doing. So I very rarely, when I'm home, unless I'm meeting out with friends, me and Naomi, very rarely go out to dinner. But a lot of it has to do with when I'm traveling. If I'm gone for 18 days, a lot of times I'm out at a restaurant 18 days in a row. And when I go to a place like Japan or Saudi Arabia, a lot of these places I go to, I want to eat all the food. I want to eat something different. I want to see what it's like. And Japan is just that. The different kind of foods. It's to me, it's amazing. That's kind of how you immerse in somebody else's culture, is not just speaking with people, but going and eating and once you meet, especially once you meet fishing guys, this is one thing I tell people over and over and over again. Fishermen are fishermen. It don't matter what language you speak. I've been on many a boats where I'm the only person that speaks English, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. I never felt lost. I never felt out of place. I did that first trip. I met a guy. I actually met him here in at American Custom Yachts with Dom Jr. and Senior. He bought a boat, Japanese fella, and I said, I'm supposed to go to Japan, whatever, 9 months from now. And he ended up following me on social media, so we stayed in touch. And I told him, hey, listen, I'm going to Japan. He's like, I want you to fish a tournament with me. I'm like, okay. So they canceled the tournament because they said it was too rough. And hey, man, who am I to tell anybody whether it's too rough or too calm? But I come to find out what rough was the swell from a hurricane that was offshore. So this gentleman decided, listen, we're going to go fishing anyway, even though they canceled the tournament. And listen, it was probably a 12, 15-foot ground swell, but you're talking about a 20-second spread in between them. You lose the
We can fish
horizon.
this.
Oh man, you can fish
Yeah.
it all day long.
Yeah.
It's nothing that's hurting you or the boat. And getting out wasn't an issue. It's not like it's some kind of treacherous, organ inlet or something like that. No, it was just there for their safeties. And anyway, long story short, so we go out fishing, and I learned really quick that I was not going to be able to converse clearly with everybody. So, hey, you know what? I'm going to go up to the tower and I'm going to call out fish. I know how to say billfish in Japanese. It's kajiki. I know how to say dolphin in Japanese. It's shira. So I can call out a fish. I got this great. So I go up to the tower. I'm going to call it out. So here I am, and I go kajiki. And right when I start yelling out left long, I realize I don't know how to say left or long in Japanese. So
Yeah.
as I yell it out, what does everybody do? They look up to the tower. I'm like, no, that's not what I wanted. Being up in the tower, you're supposed to help people. I'm not helping anybody if you're looking at me. So we did see a couple, and we did catch, I think, one or two blue marlins that day. And
How offshore are you running for that?
what's that?
How far offshore are you running?
We were fishing out of Nagoya. I want to say once you got out past the island, because that's what took it took 45 minutes just to get out past the island to get into open ocean, maybe a 45-minute run.
Boats there?
That particular day, no, because of this storm warning. But the tournament I fished a week prior, which was the JIBT, there was 86 boats in that tournament.
Oh, wow.
And normally their numbers are up over 100. That year was it was a little lighter. But no, this the JIBT was a full-fledged event. I was at the 39th annual. They invited me to go to the 40th. I got a chance to meet some really cool people. I was their guest as board members. And question: have you ever fished out of Oregon Inlet?
Nope.
All right. I'm sure you've heard the stories as people go out fishing, especially in tournaments, but on normal days, somebody back in the day was always Omi. Omi would always bless the fleet as they were going out. Well, before the tournament, they always bless the fleet. Well, they bring in a priest, and I'm using the word priest because I don't know what the other name was, and I'm not 100% sure of the religion, and I apologize for that. But they had a priest and then a young lady. They built a small little temple, and they had fruit offerings there. They had a little statue, and everybody that was on the board was given an olive branch, and we went and gave it as a symbol of an offering. And because I was the American guest, they asked me to do it, and it was way cool because everybody in the tournament, the first day of the tournament, it wasn't like, okay, let's get out on the water at 6 o'clock. Everybody, come over here. We're going to bless the fleet first, and everybody blessed the fleet. And once you had the approval, then you went out. Then you went out as a whole, and all 86 or 87 boats goes out, and it was neat. It was neat, and that year the winning fish was 519, which is pretty admirable. I mean, it's you're not talking about a small fish, but I'd say there was a lot of striped marlins, there was a lot of small blue marlins, um, and it was great festivities. Uh, if you release a fish, you have to come in with your tackle. They have to measure your tackle, make sure that it's all IGFA legal. And then they bring you up on stage and they get a crane and they lift a mounted blue marlin, a fiberglass mount, just like the one I have behind me, on a crane, and with a tag and release flag on it. And you take a
Wow.
picture. Yeah, no, they make a big ceremony about it, which I thought was awesome.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
It's a very community oriented tournament, and walking back and forth to the hotel, uh, there's always a big party in the middle of the street. And I was just going over some of the pictures yesterday. Somebody had asked me about my. They were asking me was about sushi. Man, I would love to go to Japan to eat sushi. I'm like, what we eat here is totally different than what we eat over there.
Really?
Uh, yeah, well, over here there are no California rolls in Japan. Those JB rolls and them deep fried rolls. No, that's an American thing. When I first sat at the table, and my interpreter from the fishing club, um, Mr. Hero, I believe he's probably 80 years old by now. He had made the arrangements for us to go to dinner there, and we show up and they have a plate, and I'm trying to remember, we had some edamame, we had some pickled some kind of fish. It almost
Something.
looked like a small bluefish. I would say maybe 4 inches pickled, with some onions on it, and then one other thing, and I can't remember what that one other thing is. Then we ate that. Then they brought us a piece of some kind of a fish fillet that was simmered in this, like, a dark ponzu sauce, and then they bring you hot water with it, and you pour the hot water over the fish in this ponzu sauce that makes like a soup. So you peel the skin off, you eat that fish fillet, which looked like some kind of deep water snapper, but I'm not 100% sure. Then they brought me what looked like a conch, very like a spiked conch, and they filled it with. It tasted like basil and garlic. Then they put it on a grill and simmered this conch in its own shell,
Oh my God.
and it was delicious. It was delicious. And then after that, they brought us barnacle miso soup. And I'm like, barnacle miso soup? Interesting. I guess they must cook the barnacles with the miso. So, I'm eating the miso. And there's no spoon. You lift up the bowl and you're sipping from it. And as the miso starts going down, you realize that the barnacles are at the bottom. there were barnacles everywhere.
Really?
And I asked him, I said, Mr. Hero, am I supposed to eat these? And he's like, oh, these are small. They're too much work. And I'm like, okay. I had never eaten a barnacle. Uh, and when I say barnacle, we're not talking some crusty, nasty looking thing. I'm talking more along the line. You know, when you find something floating offshore, like a pallet, and they have those white barnacles, almost, and when they stick out, they almost look like feathers. That's the kind of barnacles that were in there, and the soup was delicious. And then they brought me a cold abalone salad.
Man,
And abalone, again, it's very similar to conch. Sliced abalone with pieces of watermelon, small cucumbers, uh, in an ice bath. And you don't eat the ice, but it keeps everything cold, and then you eat it. Then we had a bunch of nigiri, which nigiri is just rice with fish on top of it. And uh, I'm like, oh, I'm very surprised there's no rolls. You know, in the United States, they serve rolls. And he explained it to the chef, and the chef says, oh, I'll make you a roll. And I'm thinking, okay, what, uh, tuna, salmon? No, it was a gourd. And I don't know, a gourd is almost like a pumpkin or a squash. Well, they pickle it, and they chop it up and they roll it. They made a roll out of this gourd, and it was delicious.
wow.
It was downright delicious.
I want to
Um,
go just for the food.
yeah, I'm telling you, when you eat the food, and it's funny because my buddy that lives in Okinawa, he we were shipping some packages over. He's like, hey, what do I owe you? And I'm like, listen, just take me out to dinner when I get over there. We're square. And because the food is that good, it's delicious.
I
And
have to
if
go see that place.
you got to keep an open mind, because a lot of stuff is different, but it truly is delicious, you know. And the amount of work that go listen, I'll cook something here at home, and it's going to taste good. Might not look the greatest, but in Japan, they work really hard at making sure the food looks good and tastes good.
Yeah, I'd love to go see that place. It's on my bucket list for sure. Has been for a long time.
You should come I think I'm putting together like a caravan of people coming with everybody's like, I'll go with you.
I'll go with
So come on.
I'll go. I swear
I
to God.
so I agreed to put on we signed contract before COVID to put on a the first all release Blue Marlin tournament in Okinawa, Japan. So come on.
And
Just
send
yeah.
send me the info because I'll do that.
Yeah, come on. I
So
know.
when they kill, so it's that's usually just a kill tournament over there. I'm assuming.
To be honest with you, I don't know the exact rules of the JIBT, the one that I fished, because some people released, some people killed, and I don't know the rules behind it. Um, so I don't know why you would kill some and why you would release others. There was no way for me to understand the rules.
Did it seem
And
like they had a Calcutta and all that, or was it just straight up?
gambling is illegal.
Oh,
Gambling is illegal. So, which I found that out recently.
wow.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, we can run a Calcutta, and I kind of
We're all good with
explain it, and
Jeff.
they're like, uh, can't do
Wow.
that. Not here in Japan. I'm like, wow. Okay.
Wow.
I didn't realize that. I said, okay.
Maybe we just give prizes for the biggest ever.
Hey, listen, they just want a good party. and and,
Yeah,
and here's the other thing, there's a lot of honor and there's a lot of bragging rights that go along with it. And
that's cool.
as you know, when you pull into your slip, you want to make sure you kick the shit out of the two people on either side of you.
For sure. Yeah,
You know, I listen, I always tell everybody, you know, I know me, I'm very competitive, and I never wish for my friends to catch less than me. I just wish that I catch more than them.
for sure. Yeah.
You know,
Do you
man,
remember when we were in St. Thomas and my old boss, Sonny, he was hardcore about it. And he was like, you guys are always leaving 2 hours before everybody else. And he watched it go by one day, and the second day he said, "Hey, we need to be leaving before then." Okay, so you got it was always us and you going out to cut at the same time. Hey, that extra 2 hours would allow you to kick the shit out of the guy on this side of you sometimes.
And that's what a lot of people didn't realize. I don't. Do you remember Hugo? He was a Brazilian guy on ADOC.
I
He
do.
came fishing with us one day. He just walked up. Hey, can we go? Can I go fishing with you guys? Sure, come on. So he fished with us all day long, and I can't remember what we caught. 4 blue marlins, 3 blue marlin. Who knows? I don't. We caught a few. Whatever the number was, it was a few. So he comes back and he walks down ADOC. And the only reason I know this because somebody told me this after the fact. They asked him, so what are those guys doing? What are those guys doing that they catch so many fish? He's like, all they do is play cards all day long. That's it. We play gin all day long. And people ask me, it's like, man, what are you guys doing that you catch so many fish? I go, here's the deal. You're fishing 8 hours a day. I'm fishing 12. After 3 days, your 3 days are equal to my 2. That's all it
Yep.
is.
Yeah, that's
That's
one of the
that's
few things you can control. It's like deer hunting. Same deal.
that's it. It wasn't that we did anything special. Now, don't get me wrong. When I wasn't playing cards with Jim, I was sitting right next to my cockpit teaser because the last thing I ever wanted was to get zipped. But those are things that I can control. But it's not like any special voodoo. You just got to be out on the water.
That's right.
And the more you're on the water and the more encounters you have, the less nervous you get, the more muscle memory you get. You know, we were talking about hunting and shaking and all that. Uh, I say lately, pretty much most of the fishing I do now is I coach people. People call me up, hey, will I'm going with my son. We're going to go to Cape Verde or we're going to go to DR. Will you coach me? Okay, yeah, not a problem. And it's nothing more than standing next to somebody and talking to them, very similar to, hey, it's right there on the teaser. He's coming in. And one thing I've learned that no matter how chaotic a cockpit is, if you're talking calmly, the brain will always listen to that calm voice because it wants to stay calm.
Yeah.
It wants to stay calm. And so I stay calm and I walk somebody through it. And again, I enjoy the butterflies through somebody else. And whether it's unfortunate or whatever, there's not very many blue marlins that make me get the butterflies anymore. I still get excited. I still get happy. I love watching a fish chase and but the actual butterflies of like that first time. But I did have it a couple of years ago when I fished with Spera in Australia on the Great Barrier Reef. Fish came up on our center rigger. All we saw was the bite. It's like, man, that's a nice one. Then I come down and I was in the tower with him and I'm up on the bridge taking photos and we got just within rigger distance and this fish jumps 3 times. And he wasn't yelling, but it was definitely an aggressive style voice and it was loud, but it was very matter of factly. Get him down, boys. And I literally grabbed my camera and I threw it like if it was a frisbee. And we went into pulling gaffs down, clicking the riggers back, cleaning everything up. And I'll never forget holding that gaff in my hands. And you can see that swivel coming out of the water. And luckily for me, I have a video of it. I had my GoPro running in the tower. And as we're leaning up, Tara Thompson, who just recently caught a grander in Hawaii, I think 4 days ago, she grabs that leader. And I was expecting Spera to be able to slide up on the left side of the fish. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm gonna get a chance at this green fish. And this is not going to be pretty. This is going to be downright ugly because it was green. The fish, it wasn't, but maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes into the fight, if that. And this fish was all lit up. And, it was, I don't know, we're calling it 11. But it was, it was big enough that we're going to dry it off and take it for a ride. And I'll never forget, as it's, I can see the tail. I'm like, I got a shot at it. And well, I'm thinking I got a shot at it. I'm only 4'11", so I didn't have a shot at nothing. And but I remember taking the time to enjoy that moment and say, wow, I got butterflies. This is cool. Because unless you're in a big money tournament, or even a big money tournament, we ended up we did kill one that year. For He was just over junior angler status. We killed one, I think it was 860. And okay, it wasn't 1,000 pounder. It wasn't part of my goal. So it was just, okay, let's harvest the fish. And okay, I swung the gaff and pinned the fish off to the side of the boat, and there was no butterflies. But uh, your goal of a lifetime is to catch a grander. At least it's my goal. It's always been my goal. And here it was. It's 30 feet away. It's literally a leader length away. Get a shot and pay attention. Put that 20 yard mark pin on them, and don't put a 30-yard pin on them. And as soon as she grabbed the leader, that fish was not happy and jumped, and like typical blue marlin, black marlin, it just jumped straight up in the air. She broke its back in the sense of the fish was not jumping away. She wasn't going to let it, with that 650-pound test. She wasn't going to let it get away, and turned the fish towards us. And then the fish made a quick little move, jumped probably 7 to 10 feet off the transom, and continued down sea. And I'll never forget, in my face, in my brain, it's burned, that image, that black marlin lit up, that purple and greenish color, blue, swimming down sea as its sun's setting. And it's like, wow, that's a big fish. And next thing you know, we ended up fighting it. It got tail wrapped. We fought it for 3.5 hours. And them sharks, they get smart. They don't go chasing a fish. They sit up underneath the boat and let you bring it up to it. And that's what we ended up doing. We thought the fish died. It didn't. As we got it within rigger distance, you can tell she was still swimming. But once we got it up underneath the boat, those sharks, they're ferocious.
Damn, that's a shame.
Yeah, it's a shame, but excuse me. That's it's those butterflies. That's what we do it for. And it kind of stinks that we keep you always push the limits of what you're doing, what you see, whether it's your first 8-point or your first 12-point or your first 1,000-pounder, your first fish you're gaffing. You keep pushing the limits. You want to push the limits. You enjoy it. You want to push your limits of the tackle. The next day, because we cranked up the drag. The next day we pulled the drag just to see how much, because we just pulled the drag back and cranked it up, and we had 99 pounds of drag. 99 pounds of drag on that Abalone T. And
what kind of noise is that chair making?
Man, I'll tell you what, you talk about. So when we giant tuna fish up in Nova Scotia, we're fishing 250-pound test top shots, 400-pound backing, and it's not uncommon for 100 pounds of drag. And the noises that 100 pounds of drag makes with 250-pound test is unique. It is unique, and it's pretty awesome. But I will tell you this: the bolt that you use in the fighting chair to hold your rod from twisting back and forth, your pin, it shears at exactly 100 pounds. So we usually keep 10 of them for a season, giant tuna fishing, and they shear at 100 pounds. So when you're fighting usually you don't hear it shear, but when you're done, you usually hear it drop. Once you relieve the pressure, it just blink, and it's like, we broke it.
Wow.
We broke it.
I was supposed to go up there last year. Andy Morris had been hounding me for years to come up there.
Do it.
I was finally like, okay, we're gonna go. We're gonna go. And COVID and all that stuff. I said, look, I don't want to be cranking one of the things in. I just, again, my bucket list, I'd like to wire one. I said, dude, I'll let you wire them all if you want to. Just come on. So I was excited to go. I think we had like the middle of September and had the house and all that stuff. And then, can't go. So as soon as that opens back up, we're going to go.
Listen, I'm not making any plans for the 6 weeks that I go up there every year. As of right now, I have those 6 weeks blocked out, and my deal has always been the owner of the boat, because Mark kind of deals with all of the people. The owner of the boat is my buddy, and he's the one that, I always told him, I said, listen, I'll keep coming up until my Septembers. I just, money wise, I can't make it. I can't miss a September, but I'll keep coming up, and I'll always let you know by January 1st whether I can. I'll give you 10 months notice, or 8 months, whatever that is. And this year, like clockwork, it was like January 2nd. He goes, if we open up, can you make it? I said, yeah, my September's open for right now, and I'm wide open. It's not looking good, but whatever. If not, I'll figure something else. I'll go to Maryland and shoot a sick deer. I don't know. I'll do something. My biggest thing is it's too hot down here.
Oh yeah,
it's too hot down here, and I really started enjoying. Now you're from Kansas, so you've probably seen this before. I'm a Florida boy, and for 20 seasons I fished out of St. Thomas. So, and our seasons were all the way until October, November, with Jim, and before that I'd always go to Venezuela. So when I went to Nova Scotia for the first time, I remember walking out one day from my cottage, and I'm like, what the hell happened to all these trees? And they're like, fly, they change color. And I'm like, what? Like overnight? And they're like, yeah, it's just one day, poof, they change. And now I've gone up 5 years in a row, and it really isn't overnight, but it sure seems like it. It sure seems like it. It's like suddenly they start, and then the whole tree is just red and orange and yellow.
That's
and
beautiful.
Oh my gosh, it's
cool
and that's
mornings. Yeah.
and that's what I go up there for. And me and Mark and Flash, we share, Flash, Ross Clark, he used to run the Maryland Monroe. Okay. We all share a cottage together, and I always get stuck in the basement, but I don't have a problem with it. Those two guys, they get cold really easy. Me, listen, if you come in the basement, you know that when I move in, I open up every window and I will not close it until I leave. And I just keep putting more layers of clothing on because I want to enjoy. Yeah, and we're not talking about butt cold. We're talking about when I get up there in September, it's like 50 degrees. By the time I leave in October, you might have a couple mornings that are 35, which is not bad.
No, that's not bad.
It's the only thing for me, and most of the season, I'm fishing in board shorts. I just have my slickers on. The only time it's bad is when it's windy. When it's windy, now I'm freezing my ass off. But
in Kansas.
yeah, if it's 30 degrees and no wind, I walk around shorts all day long. That don't bother me. I got a fur coat on my legs. I ain't worried about
That
it.
bothers me. 30's too cold for me.
Come on, man.
Yeah, it is.
It ain't that bad. It ain't that bad, but it is nice. And to see something different between the tunas and the seals and the whales and the gannets and the bald eagles, it's a sportsman's paradise. And then you go bear hunting in the afternoon.
That's what Andy was telling me.
And I listen, I've had plenty of opportunity. I haven't killed one yet, not because I haven't had the opportunity. You just sit there and it's like, okay, there's one. He's a nice one, but man, I saw one on camera that's way bigger, and I don't want it to end. I want something to do in the afternoon, so I sit, and the guy I go hunting with, I sit in a ground blind 4 yards away. Ooh. And there was only one time I was worried. There was two bears fighting over the feed barrel, and I'm taking pictures of two little guys, 250 pounds. And David, he's a He's a forest management guy up there in Nova Scotia. He starts poking my back. Hey, hey. I'm like, dude, I'm not taking my eyes off these two bears. I want to know where they're at. And I'm in a ground blind, 4 yards away. They're like, you know, 10, 12 feet away. I need to watch these animals. And he finally starts shaking me. And when I turn around, there's another bear coming from behind us. And I'm like, ugh. And he's picking up the rifle just in case. And he starts breaking twigs and scared the bear. And the bear went around. And we ended up watching the two other bears fight over the barrel, which was, listen, man, to me, that's the fun stuff.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
that to me, that's what I enjoy. I enjoy being outside. I don't care if I kill anything. I just listen. I go to bed early at night. When we're done fishing, you're only allowed to catch and release 3, and then I download all my pictures. I upload them where I want them. I take care of whatever work I need to take care of, and it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm gonna go sit in the woods. And that's what I
Yeah,
do. I
that's a
just
good
goes,
day.
yeah, that's a great day. And then by the time I come back, it's whatever. It's 7 o'clock. I eat dinner. I go to bed, and I wake up at 3:30, and we do the thing all over again.
Yeah, that's a
You know
pretty good schedule.
that. Yeah, exactly. Now, what's your schedule up there in Montana? What are you doing in Montana?
I'm up here with my cousin. He just bought some land, on whitefish, and we are building a fence around it and getting that done. I did bring my fly rod, so uh, told my wife it was going to take us at least a week. So
I won't tell her any different.
yeah,
Anybody that's listening, don't tell his wife any different either.
that's right. That's
What
right.
have you fished yet?
No, we haven't. We've actually been working with. There's a lot of rocks on this property.
A lot of what?
Rocks. So pounding these posts in. It's been. But we're getting it whipped. I think tomorrow there may be sufficient time.
I actually fly out there a week from yesterday. That's the
Really,
ironic thing. Yeah, I fly out to Bozeman for
dude. Like I
5.
told you this morning, it's stunning out here. It's probably one of my favorite places in the world. It's just
I've never been.
you flip
Uh,
out.
my girlfriend is an equine vet, and her mentor when she did her residency, the guy she did her residency with, he has a cabin up there. Him and his wife have a cabin up there, and we're all pretty good friends. So he's been after us to go up there, and finally, we were able to work it out in the schedule, and I'm flying out there next Thursday, and I think it's Thursday through Wednesday or something. A couple days of fishing on his property, and maybe to go chase some elk around with my camera, take some pictures. He
We
says
saw
there's.
some 2 mornings ago here.
Did you?
Yeah, I was. He's got turkeys in his yard. I was feeding cashews this morning.
You were feeding him cashews?
I swear to God, I just walked 10 feet from me, not even 5 feet. And there's a couple of hens. And
It's so they know when you're not trying to shoot them.
I think they did. I think someone been feeding these two because I just threw cashews.
So I have a question for you because I did it for the first of all, I until last week or 2 weeks ago when I was in Wisconsin, I had never shot a turkey with a gun. I'd only shot them with bows and arrows. And we were fanning them. I had never fanned a turkey. That is about the funniest thing in the world.
It's deadly. They should outlaw it. I don't know if you get in trouble for saying this or not. But several years ago, some unnamed hunters, they were using this fan and they killed one with a samurai sword. That's how close they got. Swear to God.
Wow.
Yeah, that thing. I mean, from 300-400 yards, you just pop that fan. Here they come. It's crazy.
And for those of you that don't know what fanning is, it literally is the fan of the turkey feathers of a tom, and because it's mating season, once they see another tom, it's a sign of aggression. So they're going to come over and fight for their hen, and man, they come running.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing. And you talk about the samurai sword. The guy I went hunting with, his little brother, he does it with a bow and arrow, and he was using a mechanical arrowhead, and literally like a samurai sword, just chopped it right off.
Yeah,
It was I was like, wow. I
Yeah,
was,
you don't have to pick any bird shot out of the breast. It's,
you,
it's
no,
perfect. Perfect.
yeah, they come right to you.
Yeah, it's amazing. It
The
is.
videos are what's amazing. I mean, just to watch it, I until it was my turn, I was taking photos for everybody, so I can get up on top of another hill and with my telephoto zoom, just watch everybody. And next thing you know, it's like, oh, they saw you. Here they come, and it's amazing. It really is.
It looks so goofy when they run at you too. And
It's
they're mad.
they are so mad. Get away from my girls. Get
That's
away from my girls. So it was no, it was great. I had a good time, and for me that not it wasn't so much the shooting the bird part, is I also knew that's my last chance at cold weather until next year. I knew, I'm like, this is it. I think that first morning was 39 degrees, and then it warmed up very quickly after that. But man, we had a great time, and yeah, it's just being outside. Oh, speak of the devil, the guy that I went hunting with is watching right now, Dylan. So good to see you, Dylan. Dylan's from up there in Wisconsin, in Buffalo County. So, oh man, it's nice up there. It's kind of, it's like, it's my kind of town. Not a lot of traffic. I don't like
Out of
traffic.
town. Yeah.
I don't like traffic. I don't like crowds. I like to walk in somewhere and everybody knows who you are.
Yeah.
It makes
It's
it,
like
it
my
makes it.
hometown.
How big is your hometown there in Kansas?
400 people.
400 people.
400. That's
Wow.
right. No stoplights. One gas station. One grocery store.
Everybody knows everybody.
Oh yeah. So,
You
traffic
got to,
jam for us is two trucks on the same road within 4 hours.
what?
Yeah, it's a traffic jam for us. We have two trucks go down the same road within 4 hours of each other. That's a traffic jam.
Come on, man.
Yeah, we live in the Tulies. I'm telling you, there's only like 2,000 people in our whole county.
How nice
So
is that?
it's wonderful. It's wonderful. It really is.
How nice is that? You don't have to worry about traffic. What about, okay, so I haven't asked you this, but I know you got a tractor somewhere. Do you have any tractor jams?
I tell you what, whatever's on my phone right now, Sturgill Simpson. I've listened to a lot of him lately, but we don't really have any tractor jams like on the road. Just
Oh,
what you
okay.
listen to while you're driving.
It's just one of those things I'm curious about.
No, no tractor. No, no,
No tractor jams. It doesn't get too crowded out on them fields.
no, no. One tractor per field.
One tractor per field.
Yeah, and
Now,
in my area,
now here's a question: do you have one of them air conditioned tractors?
absolutely. Yeah,
Tunes in it?
yes, sir.
Listen, you're highfalutin.
Oh yeah. Well, you got to be comfortable when you work.
No, I get it. Listen, I've gone to a few friends' house that have tractors, and then they can't get me out. I'll just keep knocking shit over. I don't
That's fine. Yeah, it's
care.
fine.
I love tractors.
Yeah.
It just takes me to being a kid. It's like Tonka toys.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
just keep working on it and keep talking shit, and all the times I've done it, it ain't all these high class ones like we have now. I've done it. I have a friend of mine that has a pecan orchard in Georgia. I've done it, and finally they chased me down in the truck. Hey, that's enough. Well, you didn't tell me where to stop. You just said go. I'm
Right.
like, it's like Forrest Gump. Run. Okay, well, run. You
Yeah.
didn't tell me run to the end. You just said run. Okay, so I'm running.
Yeah. They're fun. They're fun. But usually by the end of the season, I'm ready to get off. I'm ready to get done.
And you say end of the season. So right now you're planning stuff.
Yeah, we're corn, soybeans right now. Then our fall plots will go in September, beginning of September sometime.
So all your corn and soybeans, are you actually farming for sale, cash crops, or this is just for the deer?
Just my personal stuff is just for the deer, but a lot of the stuff that we lease up our acreage that
Uh-huh.
has big, 150, 200 acre fields on it. And that is for, that's professional farmers that are selling it. So it works out great for me to make a food plot.
You got to love that. That's less work for you.
Oh,
That's less work for you.
a lot of money sitting out there too. These guys got a lot to worry about. Is it going to rain too much? Hail, all the different stuff they can eat it. That would be a tough job.
Man, being a farmer is not easy.
No,
being a farmer is not easy.
Our shit's breaking all the time. Weather's not right. Never goes your way. It seems like.
Rains too much, rains too little, something breaks. Irrigation, always something. Always something. So now if somebody wants to get a hold of you and go hunting with you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Oh, you can just get on our website, headhunterarchery.com, and you follow us on Instagram too. It's Headhunter Archery. Pretty simple. All the information's on there.
What's it called again? Because you broke up a little bit there.
Headhunterarchery.com.
Headhunterarchery.com.
Yep. And Instagram is Headhunter Archery.
All right, you heard him, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you check out Headhunter Archery.
Yeah.
Now, do you stay this calm when you get a deer come up? Now, you're pretty calm right now.
Yeah.
You're still.
I do now. I didn't before. It's just the blue marlin deer you're talking about. You've seen a bunch of them. You can get over yourself a little bit.
It's something that I love to bring up so many times because it's one of those things. It's like in sports, people talk about the game slows down. It's so many times I'm fishing with people. I'm like, hey, listen, there's one on the teaser. And they're like, I never saw him. And I'm like, you need to see 10,000 of them and then it'll slow down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's my favorite thing to do is use the calmest voice you can. Hey, that teaser. Yeah, that teaser is right there.
I don't think he's watching right now, but I got in trouble a couple of years ago. We were in Dominican Republic, and the new thing on boats is the headsets where everybody talks, which I kind of like because I'm kind of deaf. So it's very nice to talk. I can hang a rigger and somebody says something and I don't have to turn around. I can hear it. And we were in Dominican Republic. We just released one. We're all sitting there talking and there was left bridge teaser. So I'm talking to the guy right next to me and we all got, and I'm like, blue marlin, left bridge teaser. Nobody moves. And I'm like, blue marlin, left bridge teaser. Still nobody's moving. So I just finally said, fuck it. Blue marlin, left bridge. I got him. And I went and I pitched it and we didn't catch it. And I'm like, where was everybody? You guys are all sitting here. You're listening to me. And they're like, you've never been so calm in your life. And I'm like, dude, I call blue marlins out like it's my job. I'm not going to scream and yell. I'm just going to tell you there's a blue marlin there. Nobody moves. So I'm going to go get them.
Yeah.
It ain't that hard. I say that, but if you've never seen one, you still get excited. I still get excited. I try to stay calm for a little bit.
Yeah.
Rob Lane is saying to say hello to you.
Well, tell Rob I said hello. He killed a giant a couple years ago up in Iowa, 214 or some crazy thing, 212.
Yeah. He and Scott Matheson, my friend that I told you I went turkey hunting with in Wisconsin, he's playing today. I'm going to go watch him. He plays for Team Canada. He's in qualifying round for the Tokyo Olympics.
Oh, really?
He's watching it. I guess he was listening to us talk about Japan. I didn't want to, I kind of covered up all the comments because I didn't want to get interrupted while we were talking about, just give you a heads up. I see Abdullah Neef from the Maldives was watching, and Mark Reeves from Africa. I'm just kind of scrolling through. Ty from Hawaii. So we got a bunch of people watching from all over. So
world famous.
No. Listen, you know what? It's funny you say that. Somebody a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, somebody says, you're famous. I'm like, dude, I ain't famous. You know what? I'm just well known. There's a huge difference. J-Lo is famous.
Yeah, she is famous.
J-Lo is famous. I'm just well known. There's two different things. It's people aren't asking me for my autograph, and I'm not going to give you my autograph.
Yeah.
Listen, short, hairy, and Cuban. Nobody wants to be those three things. Listen, when you wake up in the morning, it's not like you're gonna say, "Man, I wish I was short, hairy, and Cuban like Fly."
Probably not, but
So,
whatever.
but people are out there saying, "Man, I wish I looked like Jennifer Lopez."
I wish you looked like Jennifer Lopez.
Listen, if you look like Jennifer Lopez, you'd probably never leave your house.
I would not. I would not.
And I'm only using her because she's in the news. Seems like every day now. Every day.
Target.
Yeah, well, it happens.
Yeah,
it happens. So, is there anything that we may have missed that you want to let people know? And I'm not trying to end it, but I'm giving you the opportunity to.
No, I don't think so, man. Just go on the website. All the information's there. Instagram, we're usually posting pictures of trail cameras and what we kill and that kind of stuff.
I'll once. So this is going to be live on. It's live right now on Facebook and on YouTube, and then I'll pull the audio out, and you'll have it live in video and audio form in a few days, in a couple days, and I'll make sure I post it up on Instagram, and that way you can see it and everybody can see it. And that's Headhunter
Archery. Yep.
Headhunterarchery.com. So on that note, Lucas, you stay right there. Even though it says Matt Allen, this is Lucas. And I have you in my phone to this day. I still have you in my phone as Lucas, Kansas.
Well, that's me.
That's you, man. That's how I remember it. Listen, I need every breadcrumb I could use.
Me too.
Sure. And it's only going to get worse as we get older.
That's what they say.
It's CRS.
What's that?
Can't remember shit.
Oh, yeah. I'm getting there slowly.
Listen, hey, listen, do you own a pair of these yet?
I want to tell you something. My cousin who's sitting right over here right now. I was having trouble tying some knots, and I was lying. Some child stuff's too small. Bullshit. He just put his on me, and then I could see again. So yes, I do. 49 years old, and I have my first set of cheaters that he gave me. It's the Bubba Carter kind that break in half.
Oh my God, those are great.
Oh, those are awesome.
Those are. So this weekend we put on a Mahi tournament with a 2-day music festival. And my one business partner on that, he's in the music business. He's a music producer, but he's 39 years old. And one of his earbuds, the wire came out. So he's trying to get it back in there. He's like, somebody get me a flashlight. And I reached in my pocket and I pulled out the glasses. He goes, I don't need glasses. I need light. But he's too busy. So I slipped them on his eyes. And then somebody pulled out the light. And he put it together. And once he got it done, I grabbed the glasses off and he looks at me and he's like, fuck you, Fly.
Yeah. They are handy now.
You don't think you need them.
You need them. Yeah, I probably needed them a couple of years ago. I just bought it off. But they helped me a bunch.
Do you know Blaine Champlin and Snicky Acres?
I know Blaine.
So a couple of years ago, it might have been 18 months ago. We were fishing a sailfish tournament. It was Snicky, myself, and Blaine. And it's, I don't know, 5 o'clock in the morning. It's dark out. We're getting all our sailfish stuff ready. And none of us have our cheaters on. So we're trying to tie knots and putting them up to the light and trying to tie everything.
Oh, yeah.
And, I got to say something. Listen, everybody knows that I like busting balls. It's what I do, but I'm the first one to bust my own balls. That's just what I do. So I look around, I go, really, guys? I remember when the three of us used to stumble from the bar, get to the boat, and talk about what girls we just finished chasing, still smelling like booze, getting ready to go fishing. And right now, we're holding up line to the light so we can see the knots that we're turning. I go, another 10 years, we're going to talk about whether we pooped properly or not.
That's for sure. Yeah. Golly. Oh man. Jeez.
It's
Oh,
listen, it is what it is, man.
yep.
Uh, I'm trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit every day. Uh, but whatever, you know. If I gotta wear cheaters, I wear cheaters. I don't mind it. Um,
It's time.
it's there's no a late night for me is anything past 9 o'clock. Uh,
Nothing more terrifying than being awake after 9.
oh,
Yeah.
it kills me. It totally terrifies the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing?
No,
Why am I awake?
I agree.
I can wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, doesn't bother me. Staying up till 2, I'm dying.
Can't do it.
I'm dying.
No.
So on that note, I don't want to keep you too long. I know you got fences to drill and put up and turkeys to feed cashews to.
That's right.
So you hold up right there really quick, Lucas. And I want to say thank you to everybody that's listening. I appreciate everybody taking your time, listening to Lucas today and some of his hunting stories and some of our fishing stories together. So thank you very much for your time today, Mr. Lucas.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bob.
I appreciate it. And I'm glad we were able to put this together because we were talking about it a couple weeks ago. Actually, me and Andy Moyes were talking about it. We were down in Guatemala together and you came up in conversation. I'm like, oh, man, I got to get Lucas on my podcast. That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So he told me a couple of stories about on your property that I'm not going to mention them online, but there were some funny things. There were some, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. So it was really good. We could talk about it off air.
Okay. Sounds good.
Everybody, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Lucas, thank you. You hold tight. Don't hang up there.
Okay.
And we will check everybody